All right, we will roll right into it. We are joined by Jeff Gordon, Vice Chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, and we are going to go ahead and jump right into media questions. If you have a media question for Jeff, please raise your hand. We will be joined by Rudy. We will be joined by Crew Chief Rudy Fugle and William Byron in just a bit, but we'll start with Jeff. We'll start with Justin in the middle here, please.
Justin Schuler kicking the tires. We haven't seen Byron win this late in the season, I don't think ever in the Cup Series. So, one, what has it been like to see him grow over the last several years? And not only that, but have 4 wins, 27 points, 10 points above second in the playoff standings. You guys are showing that you're the ones to beat when it heads to Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a long season, right? So when you get a win early in the season, it's great because you get that first win. You feel like maybe you've locked yourself into the playoffs, and maybe even you get a second win early in the season, and you go, okay, we're doing something right here, and it's special. But these summer, races, it really tests you, and trying to find the right setups at some of these tracks, as well as your competitors are catching up. It's all about timing and getting there at the start of the playoffs and being, and peaking kind of at that point. So you got to give a lot of credit to, our folks at Hendrick and certainly with William and Rudy and what they're doing as a team to keep the momentum going, because they're having an incredible season, and I just hope that they can keep that going, into the playoffs, because I just see a spark in them this year, just the way they're clicking and communicating. The chemistry between William, Rudy, and the whole team has been fun to watch, and exciting to see this kind of blossoming career of a young talent and a driver, and what that might be able to do long into the future.
Bob Pockris right here.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. I have 2. The first is, William goes down a lap after the wreck with LaJoy. Do you see any difference in his composure to be able to come back from something like that and win a race?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of experience, going through the ups and downs of the sport. But I think more importantly, it's when you and your team are clicking and things are going well. You don't get so caught up in when things are, something bad happens in a race. You go, okay, no problem. We've been through this before. We can fight our way back, or let's just make the most of the day. And that's what good, high-quality teams do, especially ones that have confidence in what they're doing, and they just. You just don't panic. You stay calm, and I think even by winning this race, that's only going to help them for the next time that they're in a situation like this even more.
From last week in Chicago, I'm curious, a week after, just what kind of impact you think last week will have on future schedules and where NASCAR will race in the future?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that for me was. You're just praising NASCAR and Ben Kennedy and all the folks, the decision makers, Julie Giese, all the people that made that happen, especially after dealing with the challenging circumstances, but with the weather. But I think it just now the opportunities are sort of endless. If we could put on a street course race in downtown Chicago, then where can we go next? What can we do next? And I think certainly comes at a good time as you look at TV negotiations and trying to build the sport and what the future looks like. So I think all of us in the sport were very excited, not to mention being able to race in those kinds of conditions. That was really, really wet, and to be able to do it on a street course, pretty impressive.
We're going to come over here to Jordan and then Kelly Crandall. As you can see, we've also been joined by winning crew chief Rudy Fugle, so he is also available for questions. Jordan Bianchi right here.
Jordan Bianchi with The Athletic. This question's for Jeff. It's about Alex and Chase. You look at the points position they're in, they theoretically could make it on points. They probably would have to have a lot of things go right. From an organizational standpoint, are you guys thinking that, hey, their path to the playoffs is still points, or are you changing that mindset of, hey, we need to win over these next 7 weeks?
I mean, I think Alex is closer than Chase is. I don't know, where that. I haven't looked at the points after today, but I know that we want to get wins. That's how, because it's sort of one of those situations where if you don't feel like you're capable of winning, how far are you really going to go in the playoffs? And so I know that those guys want to win, but they also had some situations that got them behind. So you get in any way you can, but it goes back to what I was talking about with the 2014 about building momentum at the right time, and if you get it early, how do you maintain it? And for those guys, if they can get some momentum going here quickly, or find a way to get to victory lane, then it's all about picking up their game when the playoffs come around.
But when you look at their situations with missing races, is there a little bit of any regret or anything of letting them do extracurricular stuff that kind of put them in this position?
Well, I snowboarded my whole career on off weekends and over the off season, so that's I think takes care of that answer. And then you look at racing. I mean, Williams on his way to Slinger, to go race there, and what we do is we talk to the drivers, talk to the crew chiefs. How does it impact them on Sundays? Does it enhance what they're doing on Sundays? Do you support it? How's it fit in your schedule with your meetings and everything else? We don't look at it, first and foremost of hey, what are the risks and chances of getting hurt? We want to make sure they're in the best equipment possible. And that you take those precautions and you be smart about your decisions. I think it has opened up some conversations about what we do later in the season, around the playoffs. That we want the drivers to be a part of the decisions that happen there, because we want to support them in what they do to either relax and enjoy life, because you can't just surround yourself by nothing but driving race cars, or you're going to have weaknesses, I think, in your racing skills at some point in the season. So I think it's as much about doing things that make you happy as it is about your race skill and fine-tuning that.
We're going to come over here to Kelly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Jeff, you mentioned a few minutes ago you've seen a spark with this team this year. You, as well as anyone, know that it's all about team chemistry and team dynamic. Can you just go into kind of what you've seen from this team, that now it's all clicking and we're seeing the version of William Byron that you all hired him for many years ago?
Yeah, well, the first spark was when I saw this guy. Remind me, was the day after Christmas, day after New Year's? Day after Christmas. I was over at Hendrick Motorsports the day after Christmas, not expecting to see anybody there because I don't remember why I was there. but I came. He was in his office working, and I was like, man. I'm like, if you're working, you're going to have a good year. And we kind of laughed and joked about it. But I think his commitment, dedication is one. I think William also shows the same kind of commitment and dedication. And I think that just really spills out throughout the whole team. When somebody sees others putting in extra effort, then they don't want to be the weak link. And that could be the driver, the crew chief, a pit crew member, an engineer, whatever it may be. And I think that's what builds a strong unit is when people are just putting in as much effort as possible. And I mean, I think we've always known William had the talent. It's just about getting the experience as a young driver, racing at this level, getting them with somebody that believes in them and is providing the car, and now the pit crew is crushing it. So they just seem like a complete team. To me, I don't want to jinx it because I want them. It's a long season, as I mentioned earlier, and it's all about you gotta keep that momentum going all the way through the playoffs. You can't. This is great, and I love what they're doing, and I really believe in them. To do it all the way through the end of the season. But I don't want to rave on them too much because I want them to keep digging. But I know they will. They'll be head down digging.
Long ways to go.
Yeah.
Come back over here. We have two questions on this side.
Jeff, that was this past Christmas?
Yeah.
Yes, Steve Hummer with the AJC for Rudy. How do you rate yourself as a meteorologist, and could you kind of recount what the strategy and the decisions were toward the end as you see the blob coming your way?
I'm terrible. I was probably 20 laps off, so whatever that was in time, I'm terrible. My wife's the earth science teacher, did some meteorology stuff. I was hoping some of that would rub off, but it hasn't. So still have a ways to go.
What were the decisions you had to make?
Yeah, I mean, where we were running, it made some decisions easier. Some things fell in our lap. Running right around 20th, our car wasn't handling great, so we saw a bunch of cars come. Half of the field in front of us, about 10 of the top 20 came down, so we copied them. We had already just pit, so we took rights and jumped those. So then we ran that next run to the end of the stage, and we stayed in our position okay, and it made it easy to stay out because we could go to we were projecting we could go to 210, but then as he took the lead and he ran wide open for those 20 laps, it was closer to 200, but still we had a ways to go.
Steven, do you still have a question?
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. This question will be for Jeff. This is now the first time, or this is the most wins that the 24 car has had since you had 4 back in 2014. And we talked a little bit about the big picture impact that Chicago had last week, but speaking big picture, there are still a lot of people both inside and outside of the sport who recognize NASCAR from your accomplishments driving the 24. So in terms of the big picture, what do you think it does for NASCAR to have, the 24 car, your car, competing for wins week in, week out, and being among the cars that's in contention for the championship?
Well, first of all, I think William, does an amazing job representing the 24 and Hendrick and the sport in general. As a competitor, as well as just a fine young man, but and our sponsors as well love him. But to me, right now, it's about building superstars and recognizable faces and names. That's what's going to help grow the sport. We've lost a lot of them. In a short period of time, and it's about building them back up. And I think William is on the cusp of doing that by going to victory lane, winning races, and leading as many laps as he has, and that just opens up more doors and opportunities to get him in front of more kind of mainstream media, or get his face and name out there, that I think will continue to help grow the sport. It's come along at a great time. Not to mention, I run into a lot of 24 fans all the time that say they miss me not being out there, and I just quickly say, well, yeah, but you're a William Byron fan, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I know they're really happy that that 24 with William is still getting it done out there.
And when you talked about William dealing with more, being more of a mainstream face. You did a lot of that during your career just because you were so recognizable. So what have you told him, and what do you tell him now about dealing with that?
Well, it's just the opportunities have to present themselves, and it can come through a sponsor, it can come through maybe something that NASCAR, has set up, or it comes from winning races, or, something that sort of resonates with either mainstream media or the fans, or fans that are outside the sport, casual fans. So, I just tell them, keep doing what you're doing, but I think I've made this pretty clear in the past. I do want our drivers to reach just slightly outside their comfort zone when it comes to the media and opportunities, just so they can open up more doors for their own brand, and it helps us sell sponsors, and I think it helps grow the sport.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, we're going to come back over here to Kelly.
Rudy, when he spun through the infield earlier, how much damage did that do, I would assume, to the underbody of the car? Because from the naked eye, it didn't look like any of the fenders or anything were damaged.
Yeah, so it ripped out the crush panel when they got the flat tire. The flat tire did all the damage. It ripped out the crush panel, so that's a decent amount of damage. Probably not as much of a detriment as maybe the old car, but some. And then the whole front of the diffuser was the biggest part. It's pretty destroyed from the tire coming apart. So sure, we lost a lot of downforce. It probably helped some of our overall speed, maybe, but the downforce made our handling worse, and why we struggled to get back to the front. So definitely not what we wanted to do.
We're going to wrap up with Justin.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. Just one other question for you, Jeff. In here earlier, we had Goodyear announcing that this was going to be their 2000th Cup winner, with them being in the sport for so long and so loyal. The 1000th winner was another 24 car driven by you. So what's that like for you, just for Byron to keep that legacy with those milestones like that?
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, you know, we spent some time with some of the folks at Goodyear over in Le Mans with the Garage 56 project. They did a tremendous job with that. It just reminded me of all the work that they put in over the years, for NASCAR. I think that these high-banked oval tracks, whether it's Bristol or here, brake heat, whatever it is, it's not an easy type of race car or conditions to build a tire for. So, give them a lot of credit for what they do. And, we're certainly very proud to represent them. And I didn't know about the 1,000th until a couple weeks ago when they said, hey, we're coming up on 2,000. And when that happened today and I saw Stu Grant and that cool trophy that they gave William, I realized it's 24-24. I love it. I hope William gets 3,000. Can you get to 3,000?
I'm not
He's so
going to.
young. Yeah, maybe Rudy won't
I'm
be
not
here.
going to.
I won't be here. Rudy might not, but William, he's young enough. You're 15, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen.